Hey, back again. Um, didn't really get to it in the previous video. It was already running way too long, and I'm gonna have to edit it down. But there was a comment in the video that the Bible is full of contradictions, and she said she didn't have time to go through all of them. And I'm sure that's true. There are hundreds of alleged contradictions in the Bible, most of which really aren't. There are a few, like I said, that are textual situations and whatever. I would like to say, however, likewise, if she doesn't name any specifically, I can't address any specifically. So just throwing the charge out there of contradictions, I throw out charges of contradictions. There are contradictions in all of atheistic philosophy. They're too numerous for me to go through, but trust me, they're there, and we all know what they are. It's not a very useful thing to do. So I'm not really going to do that. I think there are, but that's not especially handy. But yeah, I mean, if I were to try and go through all of them, that would take forever. I'm responding to a 10-minute video with a series of videos that are each roughly 10 or more minutes. So each contradiction would require, obviously, an explanation unto itself as to why it isn't really a contradiction. The most common contradiction I will address quickly, and that is that the God in the Old Testament, the God of the Old Testament, it's this Gnostic idea that there's a good and a bad God, and the God of the Old Testament is mean and nasty and unforgiving, and Jesus came and now he's all chill and loving and nice. No. Both are very just and loving. Anybody who claims this has never read the Psalms or didn't understand what they were reading, something, I don't know. They didn't really pay that much attention to anything. For one, God not physically killing Adam and Eve. That seemed fairly merciful. I mean, there was some punishment meted out, but it could have been death, immediately physical. I mean, it was spiritual death at the very least, but it could also have been physical death, and it wasn't, so that was kind of nice. Jonah, the entire book of Jonah, is all about God being merciful. Jonah actually didn't want to preach to the Ninevites because he knew that God would spare them if they changed their ways. That whole thing. The Hebrews constantly complained when they were going through, the desert with Moses, up to and including making an idol of God, which he directly told them not to do ever. And he didn't kill them, punished them a bit, but didn't kill them. Moses actually had to talk God out of killing them, but still, okay, fine, didn't kill them. There were, again, they couldn't go into the promised land for various other reasons, but, still, not the merciless, awful God people seem to think that he is. They focus on a handful of specific instances where it seems that God is being really cruel, and a number of, like, the plagues of Egypt and whatnot. But that seems to be all that they know. I guess all they know of the Old Testament is Sodom and Gomorrah and plagues of Egypt, and he's mean. I guess that's all that they know, and they don't know anything else. Likewise, in the New Testament, they seem to think Jesus is all lovey-dovey with everybody for all reasons, at all purposes, at all times, and doesn't ever have anything mean to say about sin, when in fact he talked more about hell than anyone else. He constantly threatened to condemn people for their actions, predominantly the religious people. So, hey, guys out there, authoritative religious positions that are Christian, you might want to check yourself every once in a while, especially if you're, condemning people left and right and acting like a general jerk. Jesus was not happy with you if that's what you're doing. You should probably stop that. That's the people he disliked the most on the entire earth. Aside from that, there's this thing where he's warning people about, how are you expecting to escape damnation, and constantly telling people about how, God's wrath will come upon people, and The entire book of Revelation is about him being dipped in, or his robe is dipped in blood, not his enemies. And he's coming to, judge people. All judgment has been passed to me by the Father, he says. That's just how things are. The idea that Jesus is only and always forever forgiving and never brings about any sort of justice is blatantly ignorant of the Bible. You just haven't read it, or you didn't understand it when you were reading it. I don't know how that works, honestly, but it's wrong, clearly. It would take me longer to go through all the examples of why that's wrong than it would for the entire series of videos here. So that's one major contradiction, alleged one, that just isn't so. Minor point, the Bible says the earth is flat? Granted, people have made too much about it, talking about the circle of the earth and saying that means round instead of disc, and there's a lot of debate about that, and whatever. It doesn't really claim the earth is flat, and the earth is at the center of the universe. Again, I've actually read the whole Bible. It makes mention of things like stars moving in the heavens and the sun going, and the sun rising and setting and being still in the sky and various other things. I mean, yeah, it's not technically accurate to say that stars move, but we still talk like that now. On my phone, it'll have sunrise and sunset. Well, on the news, they talk about sunrise and sunset. We talk about the moon being in parts of the sky. We don't talk about, well, the earth is aligned in such a way as that the moon would appear to be in this part of the sky, but in fact, it's actually just situated, blah-de-blah, in conjunction with the sun here. We don't do that. It's overly technical and whatever. All thinking people, this is the flat earth myth, by the way, part of it. The idea being that people used to think the earth was flat until Columbus. Lie. Complete lie. Falsehood. Okay? No reasonably educated person or mariner thought the earth was flat at least since 300 BC. Okay? Now, granted, parts of the Bible are a good deal older than that, but even so, they didn't think that. Now, a lot of people did. But anyone in any sort of academic or educated position of the day wouldn't have thought that. They knew that it was round. Pythagoras proved it mathematically a long time before. At least a long time before the New Testament, for sure. And sailors knew about it a long ways before then. Just the whole thing is preposterous. The Bible doesn't really talk about the shape of the earth much at all. The only few places it'll talk about it in those kind of terms are where it talks about the circle of the earth. And as for it not being anywhere near scientific, well, no, it talks about the water cycle and other things considerably accurately, considering it knows that the water comes up out of the seas and lakes and goes into the sky, becomes clouds, and then rings on the earth, and then runs back into the sea. Water cycle, right there. Now it does call bats birds because the word translated as bird at the time meant a flying thing, and bats fly, so therefore they were that classification of thing. But, no, the Bible shouldn't be scientifically accurate. It is true that there are a lot of cultural biases going on in it in a lot of places, but it's not like it's making huge unscientific or anti-scientific claims left and right either. It wasn't really concerned with science. It was concerned, if God is talking to people in a pre-scientific age, he's going to talk to them according to what they know. If God just showed up and was like, hey man, you should wash your hands because, germs, people are going to go, okay. What's a germ? He said germs. I don't, what's that? Well, it's this really small thing you can't see, guys, so you haven't, microscopes, See, cells, wash your hands to be clean. Oh, that I can understand. No, he didn't write the Bible. Don't be so arrogant as to think that he wrote the Bible only for people from 1850 or whatever onward. Okay? That's ridiculous. That's arrogance of an enormous degree. You're literally leaving out millions of people from the... leaving out people from the conversation for millions of days. At least thousands at the very least. So, no, that's... Don't do that. That's silly. Why would he have even brought that up? He wouldn't, and he didn't. The point wasn't that God is making scientifically accurate or inaccurate statements. He's talking to people at the time in ways they will understand. Which really is what we all do. Seriously. I mean, in 50 years from now, who knows what we're going to know about the laws of physics, and it would be the height of chronological snobbery for us to go, those ignorant people in the early 2000s and early 2010s, man, did they ever have it wrong about physics? See, they said this, and really it's like that. Well, no. I mean, if the Bible were written today, and it was trying to be, excuse me, scientifically accurate, it would still be scientifically inaccurate in 2,000 years. Because he would have to talk to us in ways we currently understand, not in ways that, in theory, we could understand in 2,000 plus years. I mean, why would he do that? We would just dismiss the whole thing as irrelevant. We wouldn't understand it. For thousands of years, we wouldn't understand it. That wouldn't be very useful to us. So, that's just being silly. I mean, that's arrogance. The idea that you're going to... And again, I don't know. If someone can point out to me where the Bible, swears specifically the earth is flat particularly and at the center of the entire universe specifically, I'd like to see it. I don't know what you're talking about. But otherwise, I mean, if you're talking about generic things moving in the heavens and whatnot, well, they do. For one, and they appear to for another. So talking in common language and just accusing that of being unscientific, really, that's just snobbery and arrogance, and there really is no excuse for that. And something that is claiming something else is wrong. Again, if you want to claim something is wrong, you need to be very accurate. The onus is on the debunker to be accurate. Always. No matter what the subject matter. So, I think I've said enough on that.